Scuderia Ferrari is taking Formula One very seriously, while Lewis Hamilton and the Monegasque Charles Leclerc are in great form and ready to support the team on the track during the TCP tests at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. Many believe that this type of track testing cannot provide interesting insights, but it is important to understand that it is not just a simple shakedown. On the contrary, there are many interesting technical aspects. In recent days, we discussed them in various videos, with a couple of important references regarding the braking system and the power unit developed by Lewis Hamilton. Regarding the brakes, the Briton made his first approach with Brembo's system, as he previously used Carbon Industries for braking phases with Mercedes. It is worth highlighting the highly positive feedback from the 7-time Formula One world champion, who found Brembo's products to suit him very well. This is notable considering the braking issues he faced during the 2024 qualifying season, where he struggled to be competitive. Andrew Shovlin had previously explained the reasons for this. Another factor not to be underestimated is the 0.6612 power unit. The engine tested by Lewis Hamilton at Fiorano on the SF-25 is the one he will use in the next championship. It is a power unit different from the German one. Technically, it lacks the split turbo, with the turbine and compressor positioned farther apart. Instead, the Ferrari design integrates the MGU-H and the turbo within the V formed by the engine's cylinder banks. Beyond this factor, the differences between the internal combustion engine and the hybrid system are significant when compared to the Mercedes solution. Lewis Hamilton has therefore worked on refining his so-called manual memory, which helps him use the steering wheel and its various controls quickly and without looking while driving. This learning phase also occurs through the simulator, of course, but on-track testing, due to its nature, is far more demanding. Over the coming days at Montmello, these studies will continue for the 7-time Formula One world champion, still using the 2023 car. However, this time, the hours dedicated to enhancing his know-how will be greater and more focused on specific parameters. There are additional interesting considerations regarding potentially noteworthy details. Significant measures can provide a great deal of valuable feedback, particularly for someone like Lewis Hamilton, who is new to driving a Ferrari. This specifically concerns the general setup of the car. It is no secret that every Formula One team, when returning to the same track after a year, even with a new car, starts by assessing the setup references stored previously. In this case, returning to Barcelona with the Ferrari SF-25, a year and a half after the Italian team's poor performance there, will be highly beneficial. The competitiveness of the car alone does not make the difference in Formula One, a point that should be very clear to those who evaluate the sport. Beyond the value of the car itself, the sheer ability of the engineers to fine-tune it is crucial. This is precisely the area Ferrari will focus on, later comparing the data collected with that from 2024. Another hot topic related to this factor concerns tires. Tires are the only point of contact with the reference plane, and not knowing how to use them properly ruins performance. Ferrari has countless examples of this. In this case as well, aeromechanical settings play a key role. Formula One is pure technology, which is why every single lap, even on an older car, can provide highly valuable details. Although the 2025 tires feature a new construction theoretically less sensitive to overheating, improving tire management will be crucial in adapting to the new ones. The department dedicated to vehicle dynamics is in full swing, with significant and intense efforts underway, also thanks to the support of Loic Serra. The Frenchman, originally from Nancy, has set new work targets, some of which will be tested over the coming days. This refers to the data collection methodology that will be implemented. This is an important exercise, as being able to read the collected information better than others makes a difference in interpretation. One of Mercedes's strengths during its dominant era in tire management lay precisely in this: the team's skill in evaluating all parameters related to the tires. Ferrari is refining this technique, partly initiated in the 2024 Formula One season, convinced it will bring substantial benefits. Ferrari is therefore once again ready to test its car on track with Pirelli. For the second time in a week, thanks to testing of previous cars' programs, Ferrari has the opportunity to enhance its know-how with the red car. A few kilometers to get familiar with the team while awaiting the start of the championship. In a recent interview, former Red Bull engineer Adrian Newey described the upcoming season's technical regulations as the most significant revolution he has witnessed in his long career in Formula One. The reason lies in the fact that nothing from the current generation of cars will carry over to the new generation vehicles. Unlike the 2022 regulations, which reintroduced ground effect while retaining continuity in power units, the 2026 rules will not follow this pattern. The contribution of the electric component in the power units will be tripled, and the MGU-H will be retired. Technical and political reasons have led to a new architecture for the V6 turbo hybrid engines, necessitating highly invasive aeromechanical modifications for next-generation cars. In this context, one often overlooked aspect is the impact of the new Pirelli tires, which will also undergo significant changes. Next year, Pirelli's tires will still use 18-inch rims, despite initial discussions about switching to 16-inch rims. However, the tread width will be reduced by 25 mm at the front and 30 mm at the rear. The goal is clear. Tires are one of the components that generate the most rolling resistance, and reducing their frontal section will significantly improve aerodynamic efficiency. As seen in 2016 and 2021, the tire supplier will have to develop a new product without having a car in the target configuration. This challenge is something Pirelli has successfully addressed in the past. They accomplished this by relying on simulations and track tests with appropriately modified cars from the previous generation. On-track testing began last year at the Montmello circuit in September with Aston Martin, using their 2022 car modified to replicate as closely as possible the behavior of future cars that will incorporate active aerodynamics. This is no easy task, but it can greatly assist the Italian tire manufacturer in achieving its goals. Pirelli's testing of tires for the next regulatory era will continue at Montmello, Spain, on February 4th and 5. On those days, Ferrari and the reigning world champions, McLaren, will participate. These tests are meticulously regulated under paragraph 10.10 of the sporting regulations, which governs cars known as mule cars. According to the rules, only cars that participated in the World Championship during one of the 4 calendar years preceding the current year can be used. A key factor is explicitly stated in the sporting regulations. During this type of test, the use of experimental parts, test software, or component modifications that provide a competitor with information not strictly related to tire testing is strictly prohibited. Software and component modifications are allowed only if necessary for the proper evaluation of test elements or to complete the testing program, and, in any case, must be approved by the International Federation before being implemented. In essence, the sporting regulations aim to govern these tests so that they cannot provide insights unrelated to their intended purpose. The major challenge of these track tests concerns the approximation of the load levels of the 2026 cars. This value is estimated using cars that derive over 50% of their total downforce from the floor. To this end, in previous tests, teams have adjusted the setup of their mule cars and increased the use of the drag reduction system during laps, not just in the traditional activation zones. The goal is to balance the load between the front and rear axles. Ferrari is preparing to field its 2 main drivers over the 2-day test, as well as the motorsport division that competed for the Constructors' Championship last season. The SF-25 has been suitably modified to fit the new Pirelli tires. For the historic Italian team, this will also be an opportunity to continue acclimating Lewis Hamilton to methods and working procedures different from those he mastered during his long tenure with the Silver Arrows.